Hello, our Father. I am just in the process of peeling potatoes for another dish for you. Potatoes Dauphinoise. Dauphinoise. Yes, it's nice. But you don't need to be shown how to peel potatoes. I'm just telling you I'm doing them. And then we'll come back afterwards to see how you assemble the dish. Real easy. It's basically potatoes simmered in cream and cheese. It's really, really good. Bye-bye. So on to potatoes Dauphinoise. I am told it's Dauphinoise and not Dauphinoise because there's a vowel after an N. So when there's a vowel following the N, the I before is E, not I. Right. So I'll go through what we're doing, but first of all we need to prepare the garlic. And I was going to press the garlic, but
I didn't throw anything away.
But I found that somebody threw my garlic press away. So you could buy minced garlic from the jar like I normally do. But then I remembered that we were shown by a chef in Morocco how to make garlic paste. So I thought I'd show you how to do that. So you need a big knife again, and there's another reason for a big knife. This recipe calls for 3 garlic cloves. I've already done 2, and I'm going to do the third one live, just so you can see how it's done. I'm doing it on a separate board because I know I'll get told off if I do it on the other board and it stinks of garlic. My battery's running out, so I've got to be quick. Right, so first of all, you see I'm wearing my glasses for this. Slice the garlic down the middle, and you want to take out this little part in there because that's the bit that the body has difficulty digesting, and that is the culprit for that nasty garlicky problem that you have. Right, so in order to make this garlic paste or chop the garlic up, first of all you crush the clove with the back of the knife. That's one of the reasons why you have a big knife. And then you press the edge of the blade into the garlic like that repeatedly with lots of pressure, so you need a good strong knife, and you see it disappears. And what we're actually doing there is just breaking it up completely, and it just goes into a very, very fine garlicky paste. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but let me get it on the back of the knife. There's virtually nothing there. It breaks it down completely, and you get this very fine garlic paste, and it releases all the flavor of the garlic. So once again, crush it, and then with the back of the knife and just putting a downward pressure on the, not on the tip like that, it's the flat of the knife. So all you're doing is you're just really crushing the garlic. I mean, so it's really doing the same as a garlic press, except it's taking it to the next degree. Obviously, after doing this, you wash your hands. Otherwise, sorry? Well, it's garlic. She says she can smell it from over there. But now I've got this really nice, fine garlic paste to go in to the cream. So, and if you wanted to make sure that it's all chopped up, you can just do that a bit, but it's such a fine paste, you really don't need to. And the chef that we work with would tell me off for doing this, because she would say, well, if you're having to do that, you didn't squash it enough. But that's how you prepare the garlic. So let's put this in the pot. I'm going to put it all in. I've got like the salt and everything in one pot. I'll put the garlic in another pot, because that's the way Gordon does it on TV. Like they always have stuff prepared ahead of time in pots, and then they just throw it in. Right, so that's 3 cloves of garlic. That is a really smelly hand. So I'm just going to wash this a little bit, and then we can get on to cooking. So we have 2.5 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes, peeled, sliced. They say 1/4 inch. I just sliced them. We are going to simmer those in 2 cups of heavy cream, and to make sure we get all that in there, we will rinse it out with 2 cups of whole milk. I'm actually using 1% milk, but that's fine. So there we are, that's 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of heavy cream. Now I've got this mixture here is 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, quite why it needs to be Jewish salt, I don't know. 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. So we'll put that in there as well. Then we have the garlic that we just did. We'll put that in there. I've got a teaspoon just to get the last little trailing bits out. We'll mix that all together. So that's all being mixed together here. And we're going to put the lid on, bring that to a simmer, and let it cook for a while. Bring it to a boil so then it can simmer. And the key to making it look like you know what you're doing is you hide an iPad around the corner. So it says we've got to simmer that, stirring often until the potatoes are fork tender, but still slightly firm. So it says 5 to 7 minutes. So that's 5 to 7 minutes after it's come to the simmer. One other ingredient I forgot: 2 bay leaves. So put those in. It's over a medium heat. You don't want it too hot because that will probably curdle the cream, I would imagine. And then off we go. So I will come back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to have to charge the battery on this camera, and we'll be good to go. See you in a bit. So here we are. We're about 5 minutes into this simmering, and I've been stirring. I just checked with a fork and then not.
So what?
She's rattling. So I just checked with a fork, and the fork won't go into it yet. But in the meantime, I took this this dish and I rubbed it liberally with 1 tablespoon of butter. So now we're just waiting for these potatoes just to pre-cook. All we're doing here is pre-cooking it. We're pre-cooking the potatoes so that they will be cooked by the time that the cheese is brown on top of this thing. So it's just a question of timing. So I'll check back soon. I've just had a chocolate chip cookie. So it's been about 7 minutes. A fork will just about go into the potatoes now, so they're ready. So what we're going to do now is transfer those potatoes to this dish and add some cheese, and we're going to use a slotted spoon to do that. There we go. That is what everything looks like. So you can see the potatoes are beginning to change colour a little bit. We're going to transfer half the potatoes, then we're going to put 4 ounces of grated Gruyere on top, then put the rest of the potatoes, use some of the liquid to bring it just up to just below the potatoes, and then sprinkle another 4 ounces of Gruyere cheese on top. And then we bung it in the oven for 40 minutes. And I think the oven is at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, gas mark, whatever that is. Right, so let's do this. Let's get half of the potatoes out of here using the slotted spoon, and just arrange them so that they are relatively flat over the bottom of the dish. This dish is quite deep, but I think it should be about right. And I would imagine there's no magic. It doesn't have to be exactly half, so you don't have to count them out. Let's do a few more. Oh, just found a bay leaf. You don't want to include the bay leaves, so you can chuck them out once you've done this first boiling bit. I think that's about half. So now here is my pre-grated Gruyere cheese. Seems like a lot of cheese. So this was my two-legged assistant assures me that we had 2.5 pounds of potatoes here. That's right. She says yes. It wasn't a very convincing yes, though. Either that or it was, I've already told you that once. Yes. So now we put the remainder of potatoes over the top, arranged in a nice layer, and you try and track down the other bay leaf. Oh, there it is, found it. Good. So I managed to get both bay leaves out, and we'll keep going, arranging these taties just now so it's a nice flat layer covering all of the cheese. And now when you're fishing this stuff out the first time, you would think, oh, I've taken out more than half of the potatoes, but they seem to lurk in the bottom. So there were actually a lot more left in there than I thought. So I don't think I actually got half of them out. So it's beginning to look good. Now, what I was going to say earlier is, like these sliced potato dishes, you can do another one called potatoes lyonnaise, which is the same kind of thing. I guess it's 2.5 pounds in this case. 2.5 pounds of thinly sliced potatoes, but then you take a couple of onions and slice those thinly and do interlayers of potatoes and onions and butter and salt and pepper to season it, and then you top it with a bunch of butter on top. There is a lot of butter in that dish, and then you cook it in the oven. And that one you don't actually need to pre-cook the the potatoes, because the onions take quite a long time to cook, but the onions sweeten up as you cook them, and because of all the butter, it kind of makes this golden sweet oniony sauce with the potatoes, and that's really, really good. And that's you on the phone. So actually I'm going to have to tell you to call back, so just give me a minute. Hi.
Hello.
I'm just doing a cooking lesson for you. So can I call you back in 5 minutes? I'm just assembling something.
Okay.
Look, I'll prove it to you. Look, there you are. So you will see yourself on your cooking video.
Oh God. Hello. Okay.
And this is you after obviously a good Christmas lunch in your bubble.
I've had a good Christmas lunch, yes.
It sounds like it was a liquid Christmas lunch.
In fact, I'm still having...
You're still having dessert, right.
No, I'm back now.
I'll call you back in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Right.
Are you done with this one? Yes. I'm cleaning up.
My two-legged assistant keeps wanting to get in the action. So that's all the potatoes in there, and then that's just the remaining cream mixture that we cook them in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pour just enough of that to be just below the top layer of taters, So it's not that hot, so we can just pour this in, and you'll see it'll fill up, and you don't actually need to use all the liquid. So this is just below the top layer, and I guess you can drink this afterwards. All right, so that you don't need to use. You get your remaining 4 ounces of Gruyere cheese. You sprinkle that on top, and then this is going to go into the oven uncovered, I guess, which I find a little strange. I may have to do some research on that. I may actually have to read the recipe. But okay, so that's the remaining half of the cheese, and that's it. Let me just check on the recipe. Doesn't say put a lid on, so I'm not going to put a lid on. I'm just going to put it in like that into the oven. We'll set the clock for 40 minutes. But of course, I'll check it as it goes along. I think Renault made a car called the Renault Dauphine in the late 50s through the 60s, but I don't think it's got anything to do with this dish, unless it drove like a sack of potatoes. I really don't know if there's any relationship between potatoes Dauphinoise and the Renault Dauphine. So there you go, interesting tidbit for you. And so, Bill, I have literally taken this out of the oven 5 minutes ago. That's what it looks like. Now, that was after 40 minutes of cooking. Doesn't that look good? I haven't tested it. You actually test it with a knife just to make sure the potato is cooked all the way through. So you put a knife in all the way down through to the bottom. That is patate dauphinoise, or potato dauphinoise, not a Renault Dauphine.